Do async with lines. Looks simple, but when this runs, Python builds a state machine, registers callback with an event loop, open sockets, manage connection pooling, save you from silent network leaks, and then resumes your function like nothing happened. Let me show you what those two lines really mean. Look at this code. People see these two async with lines and think it as just a weird syntax. It is two separate cleanups for two separate things. Think of it like this. The first async with creates the browser. The second async with opens a one tab in it. Let's deep dive into more details of it. For the first line, this does not hit your URL yet. This builds the session, which means it prepares the whole networking setup to request efficiently. It creates the connection pool, it sets up the TCP connector, it prepares keep alive connection, and it manages the background bookkeeping needed for async networking. So this session is the thing that owns shared resources. If you do 10 requests, they all reuse this same session and pool. Now the second line. This is where the real request happens. This is where aiohttp actually takes a connection from the pool, open a TCP socket if needed, and start the HTTP exchange. During this request, real system resources get involved, not just Python objects. For example, a TCP socket, a file descriptor, kernel buffers, TLS or SSL state, and a slot in the connection pool. Why we need async with? Now let me show you the manual version without async with. In this code, you can see after making a request, we have to manually close the session and also manually close or release the response to free up the resources. But it can be very dangerous and prone to error because if we forget to close the session and its response, then it can create network leak in long run. That's why to avoid this kind of bugs, we use async with. Because this is what the with block guarantees. When the response block ends, aiohttp makes sure the response is closed properly. It returns the connection back to the pool, it clears buffers, it releases the file descriptors when needed, so the next request can reuse the same instead of piling up the new ones. And because we are in async land, cleanup can involve waiting. Network cleanup is not always instant, so the cleanup step itself needs to be awaited. That is why it is not just a with, it is async with. Now, why are there two async with? Because they clean up different layers. The session block owns the whole pool and the connectors. When that outer block ends, aiohttp shutdowns the pool and close any leftover open connections. The response block owns one request. When that inner block ends, aiohttp releases that one response and return its connection. If you skip these blocks, your code might still work for one request, but over time you start leaking connections. The pool fills up and then request starts hanging or failing because there is nothing left to reuse. So the weird syntax is actually very simple. Think it like this. First async with, build and manage the connection pool. Second line of async with means make one request and guarantee the connection is returned. It is not for convenience, it is for safety. Because async code will happily keep running while your app quietly runs out of sockets and file descriptors. That is why async with exists. It forces cleanup even on errors and it keeps your networking code stable under load. That's it. If you have any doubts or questions regarding the video, then you can ask me in comments. If you like this content, then like and subscribe. Thanks.